Atlanta shocked a lot of people on Tuesday as they came into a play-in game versus Miami as 5-point underdogs and left South Beach with a double-digit victory. This was a tale of brilliant game planning by head coach Quin Snyder, particularly with how they crashed the offensive glass in an aggressive yet coordinated manner. The value of a second chance opportunity can't possibly be overstated. In the 2023 season, the average half-court offense scored 1.02 points per possession, or an offensive rating of 102. On first chance opportunities, that number drops just a bit to 101.6, and after an offensive rebound, it skyrockets all the way to 123.7. This is because the defense is put into an automatic scramble, while some players may already be leaking out on the fast break. A three-point shot creates a long rebound, and while Jimmy Butler could have very easily been the first to the ball, he instead takes off down the floor. And when John Collins chases it down, Atlanta essentially resets with a 4-on-3 possession, and the result is a wide open corner three. Over the entire season, Miami averaged less than 16 possessions a game in transition, 29th in the NBA, and also ranked 29th in pace, so one point of emphasis by the Hawks was to play with tempo and not let that defense be properly set up. There are only 2 defenders inside the arc when Saddiq Bey pulls an early shot clock triple, and it's their 2 smallest players, so when 3 different Atlanta wings crash the glass, there's just nobody in position to prevent a putback. Here it is again, taking off after a block and looking to get into their offense as quickly as possible. And although the defense does a solid job of recovering, there's nobody watching for Capella trailing the play, as he just walks into a free rebound. While pushing the pace was key for the Hawks, so was crashing the offensive glass in the half court. Knowing that the Heat aren't looking to get out and run on the other end, instead of focusing on transition defense, they were sending their perimeter players from the wings and corners to aggressively crash. As DeJounte steps into a pull-up 3, notice how both corners immediately dart to the basket, where Hunter's able to draw a loose ball foul. This time with a little bit more of that tempo, Bogdanović launches a quick 3, and again both corners instinctively crash. This was clearly a game plan for them, whereas most teams would look to get a defender or 2 back to prevent fast break offense. Bey sticks around in the middle of the paint while Murray roams into the unoccupied block, and having multiple guys on the glass at all times is a nightmare to deal with. When Trey gets doubled, he keeps that dribble alive to pull those 2 defenders all the way to the corner, and what he's doing is creating a 2-on-1 advantage on the weak side, so that when a shot goes up and both wings crash, there's nobody to take away a putback. Miami's at a constant disadvantage when dealing with these crashes because not only do they run a non-traditional small ball type of big, but they throw out lineups with multiple guards and undersized wings. Capella is able to just park down low with a smaller Butler to contain him, while the second rebounder coming to help is Tyler Hero, and that's not a battle the Heat are going to win often. Here it is again, where he just camps under the basket waiting for a shot to go up, and getting the board in these spots is pretty equivalent to a perfectly placed entry deep in the post. Despite a really solid box out, Martin just doesn't have the size to effectively keep Clint off the glass, and despite 4 different Miami players touching the paint, there just isn't enough rebounding talent to take away these opportunities. On top of being undersized, the Heat play a real aggressive style of defense that means they don't always have bigger bodies near the rim. Their goal on that end is to prevent the ball from ever touching the paint, so what you'll see is aggressive ball pressure, gapping off of shooters, and switching just about every action, which is made possible by the mobility of Bam Adebayo in the middle. It's this scheme that has been consistently successful against Trae Young and lots of primary ball handlers in general. After coming off a screen, Bam's right there to pick him up on a switch, so he rushes a real deep 3 in an attempt to counter. This means that they can defend screening actions without putting the rest of their defense into any sort of rotation, and Bam shadows the drive so that he can take away a passing lane. Notice how Bam's already on DeJounte at the top of the key with Butler at the point of attack, meaning that a ghost screen action just results in that same 1-5 matchup, and Trey's unable to shake him in isolation. If we rewind this possession for just a second though, you'll notice that Capella was on the block with Martin matching up, with a guard in both corners, and that's the drawback of this aggressive style of defense, as it creates advantages to attack on the offensive glass. With Bam defending a wing in the corner and 6-foot Kyle Lowry matched up on the big, Trey can just launch a 3 from the logo without even having to worry if it goes in or not. This time Bam's actually down low, so there's not a huge size advantage, but as Murray attacks Hero in isolation, Butler gaps off the corner to turn away a drive, meaning that when the perimeter crash comes, there's nobody in position to put a body in front of John Collins on the putback. Miami had to start going away from their key defensive principles more and more, throwing out some drop coverage and the occasional zone to prevent off-ball players from slipping behind the play. Of course, this helped unlock Trae Young's game as an operator in the pick and roll. Instead of getting the screen and being met with an immediate switch, now he has room to take an extra dribble and get to that floater. This time with a bit more movement, he just has so much space to work with on a drive, patiently faking the lob for a soft float off the glass. Of course, this strategic change from Spoelstra wasn't entirely successful in keeping Atlanta from crashing though. A 2-3 zone leaves one man in the middle, with another in the corner covering 2 different wings, so when they both crash, Lowry has to choose which one to put a body on, while Bam's occupied with Okongwu, leaving Jalen Johnson completely unattended. Later in the fourth, they also tried throwing out a 3-2 zone, except that results in Bey getting wide open on the perimeter, drawing a long closeout from Bam, and when Lowry slides down to box out Capella, there's nobody near Collins, who secures the board and finds a cutter for a dunk. Even when it felt like Miami did everything right, having their best rebounders ready down low, with wings finding someone to put a body on, Atlanta just truly outworked them, playing with a level of intensity and physicality on the glass that left them completely overmatched. The end result was a total of 22 offensive rebounds for 26 second chance points, which is why despite shooting just a putrid 24% from 3 and 59% from the line, as a team they still produced a really healthy offensive rating of 118.4. If you split that number up, they scored less than 92 points per 100 first chance possessions and almost 124 after offensive rebounds, which perfectly encompasses just how game-changing this was. Brilliant strategic planning by head coach Quin Snyder and execution from pretty much everyone in the rotation earned the Atlanta Hawks a spot in the 2023 playoffs. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.